Good morning, everybody. Nice to see everyone here. Rabbi Barris is in New Orleans, visiting his daughter for, wow, it's loud, huh? Parents' weekend.
She's in college now. Yeah.
That's a great thing when you have a nice extra staff, you can go do that. Sherry, how many times did I do that? Once? Oh, they can hate me for that too. Okay, this is loud. Is this too loud, too echoey? It's echoey. Hang on. Let's see what we can do if I better? Is that a little better? Okay. What? Oh, where are the microphones? The microphones are. Anybody see microphones? No. Well, I don't see the microphones. That's not good. Let me see. Nancy, are you getting up to find somebody? Awesome. Nancy's going to take over. Meantime, we'll sing and pray. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beni uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamin, ki sheshet yamin, asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pori hagafen. Amen. You know, when they open a fresh bottle of grape juice, it's awesome. The prayer for studying Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Amen. And Bobby, last game, go Canes.
Go Canes.
That's because if I didn't say go Canes, I'd feel really bad because I could have sent my daughter to UM and then Miller School of Medicine, or I could have retired. So I still want to say go Canes. Okay.
Good way to start, Torah.
Good way to start Torah class. Just in case. All right. I've taken up, speaking of a personal prayer, Tehillim, a group of Tehillim that I try to say every time I sit at my desk here and see that I've listed them as a way to ground myself, get some extra, prayer mojo going in the morning for my family. So a little extra prayer. So, welcome this morning to Chaye Sarah, the life of Sarah. If you're looking on our website for the Torah portion, I noticed yesterday that it says that we're in the second triennial. We're actually in the third triennial. So, and I did try to have them fix it. Let's see. The third triennial for us, which Ed will be chanting from this morning right after Torah Study, so you can stay for that. We'll be beginning on chapter 25, verse 1. So we have the three triennials begin with the life of Sarah, Chaye Sarah, which is really her death. And that's the first section. The second section, that's around chapter 23 something. Chapter 24 is like 67 verses, is the whole story of Rebecca finding a wife for Isaac. Oh, Baruch haba, welcome back from India. India, can you imagine he schlepped to India? I mean, amazing.
Did you find everything out there?
And for the last triennial, we have
surgery on Thursday.
Ooh. Oh, wow. Is it to see better or to?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Excellent. Refuah Shlema. And the third section, we go back to discussing Abraham and what happened from the time he purchased the cave. So I did the whole portion last night. Sarah dies, we need a place for burial. We get the first deed to the land of Israel for the cave of Machpelah. Some of you have been there, it's in Hebron. Not so easy to get to today, but in the past, when some of you may have gone, you could get there easier. Sarah's there, Abraham's there, Isaac, Rebecca, Jacob, not Rachel, Leah. So we get to finding a wife for Isaac, because a parent's job is not done until their children are married. So I was listening to a wonderful, right up the road in Boca, in the Boca Raton Synagogue. What's his name? Goldberg. Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg has a very lengthy, well, for us, it was like over an hour, and part of it was talking about, because of his congregation does matches differently. They use matchmakers, and they very, very serious about it. Part of his discussion was, you do everything you have to do, and then God has to take over. I see Billy's looking carefully for his children. This is what you have to do, Bill, according to Ephraim, you have to do all the stuff, right? So for the Orthodox community, even today, it's getting the matchmaker, it's doing the genetic testing, it's all the stuff you need to do. It's making sure that people meet in the right places, and then you gotta let go. It's that last part, Billy, that is troubling for me. Then you gotta let go. So that's part of this week's Torah portion. And now we get to Abraham. Chapter 25, verse 1. It is found in our Plout on page 166. I have the old Plout, 166. There it is. The last verse on the right-hand column, or the second paragraph in the English. This is what I want us to do. We're going to read verses 1 through 18. So everybody take a couple of verses and pass the microphone. And then we'll get into maybe not all of this text, because I have a lot of it. And we're talking about Abraham and who he marries and why that's important and what does God want from him. So, where are we starting? Norman. Page 166, or chapter 25, verse 1.
Abraham went on and took a wife named Keturah.
She bore him Zimron, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan begot Sheba and Dedan. The descendants of Dedan were, oh my goodness, Ashurim, the Letzushim, and the Lumim. Leumim. Oh,
The descendants of Midian were Ephon, Epher, Enoch, Abidah, and Eldah. All these were descendants of Keturah. Abraham willed all that he owned to Isaac.
But to Abraham's sons by concubines, Abraham gave gifts while he was still living, and he sent them away from his son Isaac eastward to the land of the east.
Chapter 25, verse 7.
This was the total span of Abraham's life, 175 years. And Abraham breathed his last, dying at a good ripe age, old and contented, and he was gathered to his kin.
His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar, the Hittite, facing Marm. The field that Abraham had brought from the children of Heth, there Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. And it was after the death of Abraham that God blessed Isaac his son, and Isaac settled near Beer-lahai-roi.
These are the descendants of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's maidservant, bore to Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names, in order of their birth. Ishmael's firstborn, Nebaioth, Kedar, Adbeel, and Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, and Massa, Hadad and Tema, Yetor, Naphish, and Kedem.
These then are Ishmael's sons, and these are their names, by their village and encampments, 12 princes by their tribes. And these are the years of Ishmael's life. He then expired and died, and was gathered to his people.
They occupied the sea from Havilah to Shur, which is near Egypt, on the way to Ashur. He settled in the presence of all his kin.
Okay, excellent. So, there we are. That's the end of the Parashah Chaye Sarah. So we are interested in Abraham's moving forward following the death of Sarah. He buried her. He fulfilled that one promise of God's of getting land in the land of Israel until he bought that cave. He did not own any land in the land of Israel, bought the cave until Isaac was married. He wasn't sure of any descendants that God promised him. Isaac got married, and now Abraham is going on with his life. Verse 1, Abraham took another wife whose name was Keturah. First thing the rabbis ask, who was Keturah? What is that name? What is she? Who is she? We saw the descendants. We went back to the descendants of Hagar. Let's see who she was. So, why do we want to know who she was? Oh, because they mention it, right? One good reason. Ed?
It's significant that Abraham remarried, so we want to know the character and background of the person he married.
Thank you. It's significant also that Abraham remarried. God chose Abraham and Sarah to start this people, and now Abraham's remarried. What is he going to do with those people? Who are those children? Are they going to be inheritors? No, it's going through Isaac. What's going on here? Also, is there a model for us that even though Abraham finished the things he was supposed to do, he remarried again. He was alone, he remarried, and that's also one of the models. So thank you. Let's see. Where are we? Who has the mic? Ian, you're going to just read the Steinsaltz. On the page, on the handouts. We're on the first reading on the handout.
Okay.
Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah. Following the banishment of Ishmael to the desert with Hagar, the death of Sarah, and the marriage of Isaac, Abraham, who was left alone, took another wife, and her name was Keturah.
So Steinsaltz just says this is Keturah, whoever that is. Let's see Tzena or Rena, what they say. Judith, thank you.
Abraham took another wife, Bahia, Toldat Yitzchak, and his Kunirite. From here we learn that when a person's wife dies and he has children, he should not marry again until he marries off his children. If he would marry before he marries off his children, then his children will have to make bad matches. People will say that he will have children with the other wife and they will inherit everything. Therefore, Abraham first gave his son a wife, since it is not just that the old one should take a wife and the youth should be without a wife.
So thank you. We want to make sure that the inheritance goes the right way. Let's not get confused by bringing other children into the mix. Abraham's son needs to be married, a wife, and that line has to continue. So that's what this group is all saying. Let's see what Rashi says and why.
Keturah, this is Hagar. She was named Keturah because her deeds were beautiful, sweet, as incense. Keturah, Genesis Rabbah 61. And since she closed her opening, as she did not mate with anyone from the time she separated from Abraham.
Okay, so Rashi says Keturah was Hagar. Keturah, Koteret, we'll see that again in some of the other commentators, is the word for incense, not just any incense, the incense offered on the altar. So her deeds were sweet. What was her deed?
She did not be with anyone else.
Yeah, she didn't marry again. Very, very 12th century-esque. She didn't marry again. She stayed true to Abraham, who threw her out and let her nearly die. And she stayed true to him, hoping that someday he would come back to her, or nobody. So that Rashi said that was her good deed. There are some other good deeds also. But when we last see Hagar, what happens when we last see Hagar? Well, some people say, yes, she's worshiping idols. That's who she was. She could have been the daughter of Pharaoh, or she's an Egyptian, right? Hagar HaMitzri, she's an Egyptian. So also, right, Abraham sent her and Ishmael away. They were sitting there. They had no water until she opened up her eyes, and Be'er Laha'uroi, there was the well that she finally saw and was saved. But she was sent out of the picture, gone, gone, gone. Now in verse, yes?
But if she came back as Keturah, and then she had 6 more kids with her.
Yeah. We sing wonders, wonders, miracles, and miracles. Torah. It's all possible. In verse 61, I think it's verse 61, chapter 24, verse 61, we see that Isaac had come from Be'er Laha'uroi. Isaac came, and so there are some midrashim that say Isaac had already gone to Hagar and was making this match for Abraham. It's a nice one. That's a good midrash. Okay, so we think this is Hagar. Let's go further and see why this is important. Stuart, bavakasha. Chizkuni, the last reading on the page.
Ushma Keturah, whose name was Keturah. Rashi comments on this that her name now was Keturah, as her good deeds were comparable to the incense. Keturah later on offered twice daily in the holy temple. To your question that this appears to contradict what we have read in Rashi's own commentary on Genesis 21:14. Oh, I can't do that one.
Just let the Hebrew go. It's just the...
That Hagar had returned to the idolatrous practices she had learned in her father's house. You will have to say that in the many years since then, over 40 years, she had become a penitent, and on account of that, her name had been changed by the Torah. According to the plain meaning of the text, Keturah is not identical with Hagar.
Okay. So she's not identical. Keturah, her name does not match the name of Hagar. But Hagar now, according to our commentators, has done two things. She hasn't been with any other man, and she has been a penitent. She has done teshuvah. She's given up idol worshiping. Victor, question, comment. I don't see where the mics. I can run over and hand you the mic like Dr. Phil used to do. Wait, let me take that for a second. Just the microphone. Thank you.
Yes, I think it might be a mistake relying too much on the Midrash for a number of reasons. Number one, there was no lack of women around. So if this was Hagar, I think the Torah would have said that he found Hagar again and remarried Hagar. The other thing is that Hagar by then was probably very old and probably unable to bear children.
But we're not, yes, she was old, but remember, Sarah had Isaac at 100, yes?
And I don't think Isaac would have done that to Sarah.
Oh. So Eileen says, okay, this is fun. This is fun because remember that Abraham, he wasn't happy to send Hagar and Ishmael away, that Ishmael was his son. He liked Hagar. She was like a wife, another wife to him. He wasn't happy with this. But Eileen brings up, the Midrashim are going to talk about this later when we get to Rachel and Leah's children, that would Isaac bring his mother's rival, according to Sarah? Hagar was Sarah's rival, back to his father after his mother died. That's some already high-level emotional thinking, but I don't know. Let's see. Jay has a comment?
Rashi says Keturah is Hagar, and then it seems like the rabbinical school lies down and says Keturah is Hagar. Is there any rabbinical line of thought that says Keturah is not Hagar? Because everybody else whose name changes in the Bible, it says their name changed. So it would have been very easy to say Keturah, who used to be known as Hagar. It doesn't say that. There's no place where it says anything like that. She is Keturah, and that's all we know. So Is there any line of rabbinical thought that says she's a different woman, Keturah?
Well, there is, Steinsaltz said it was Keturah. A couple of the other guys said she's Keturah, but there is precedent for this. It happens later. The precedent happens later because, remember, Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, Yitro, is also known by other names, but it doesn't say his name was changed. He was just known as other names. Jethro, Chibab, who remembers the other names, a bunch of other names. So this is why we play this Torah game of trying to figure out, because it's fun, to see what does it mean for us if Keturah is Hagar, and what does it mean if Keturah is Keturah? And it's a different. Maybe the sages are trying to say the Torah. We'll say the Torah is trying to tell us different things by this. If she's Hagar, if Keturah is Hagar, our brains go one way towards history. If she's Keturah, okay, she's a standalone gal with a nice name. I don't know. Oh, I don't have an answer, by the way. We're just learning together. Alan's reading. We are on, let's see. Oh, Kli Yakar, the top of page 2.
Kli Yakar, Abraham again took. The word Vayosef, again, has connotations of continuing a previous relationship, hinting that this was the second time he married her. Keturah, see Rashi. Avraham named her in honor of the holy incense to make it known that she had repented fully after having lapsed into idolatry, so that now even her former deeds ascended into heaven like the incense.
Ah, now that's romantic. I'm not even being facetious. That's really nice. The verse opens, Va Yosef Avraham. Abraham added or took again. And that word, the rabbis are really going to think about this is a remarriage to Hagar. And he changed her name. Doesn't say it, but that maybe he changed her name to, just like, Jacob was changed to Israel, to give it this meaning. Avram was changed to Avraham, Sarai to Sarah.
I mean, using the same word by Yosef, I interpret by Yosef as to add, not again.
Okay.
Like an additional, not again the same thing.
Okay, yeah. Rabbis are saying it's again.
And if this is in fact the case and it is Hagar, I can't deal with that because it means that she was the love of Abraham's life, not Sarah. Because he renames her because it's pure and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't Hagar.
Okay, so Eileen is emotionally wounded by this idea. I'm sure there's a therapist or two in here. Here's the thing. People married more than one wife. We see that all the way through, and it doesn't. So later we'll see that Jacob loved Rachel. He didn't love Leah, but we see that Abraham had feelings for Hagar. He did. So why couldn't he? Why couldn't he have enough love? A lot of this parasha is about maintaining love after death. It's about what do we do? How does that love evolve after death? The last part, the last couple of verses, I hinted at, I spoke about it last night a tiny bit. Isaac and Ishmael go together to bury Abraham. We're going to get to talk about that too a little bit. There's this love that sometimes gets confounded, confused, put aside for a while, but maybe it endures. So maybe, Eileen, Abraham has a big enough heart. He loved Sarah, and now he loves Hagar. It's possible.
But in the Hebrew, it doesn't say what by Yosef. I was looking for
It says right at the beginning, look at the first word. Yeah, first word in Aleph. Yeah, the first word, Vayosef, Avraham, Vayikach. So it's Vayosef, and added, and again, Avraham, Vayikach, and took. So, I know this is fun, right? Okay. So maybe he did, Eileen. Maybe he did love her. Or, Eileen, sometimes in the Torah people get married and we don't see love. Have we ever, in these biblical characters, biblical ancestors, when have we seen a declaration of love at marriage? Or when could we have interpreted it's here? When could we have interpreted love? Yes?
Sometimes people replace someone they love with another person that reminds them, or is like a stand-in.
Okay. Hagar could have been a stand-in. Look, what is he going to do? Sarah's gone. He was a young man, 137. He should have a few more kids.
So on this topic, I think something's incongruent. We're lauding him that he has enough love for more than one woman, and he's married again, or he's back to it. But then here she's praised for this great deed that she never marries again. Right? We just said that.
Right. She has never married.
And that's this great thing that she after him she stays true.
Correct.
So that's not. I just don't see that as congruent.
Oh, so why is it good? Well, because it's a patriarchal text, Stuart. It's okay. By the way, when I say that this is a patriarchal text, it's an observation, it's not a judgment. I expect it to be this way. I'm not saying, oh my goodness, this is bad. Maybe this is how it was. We can end the patriarchy today, but then this is how it was. Hang on, Eileen. I want Alan to read the next part. Alan, you're reading, right? Oh, you passed it on. Okay. Are we on Bereshit? Yes, Bereshit Rabbah 61:2.
Planted in the house of the Lord, they blossom in the courts of our God. They will continue to yield fruit even in old age. This refers to Abraham, our patriarch. They will remain full and fresh. Abraham took another wife.
Thank you. All right. Now we'll go back to that was just another, I thought, beautiful illustration of thinking of Abraham still young enough and vibrant enough to marry again. Oh, you need this microphone. I shouldn't have put it down. Diane, and then Eileen.
Do you think maybe that, first of all, you people in the room, you know, the men, they mourn for 10 seconds and then they move on.
Abraham really mourned.
But also, they show that a significant amount of people remarry somebody from their past. You know, somebody they knew in high school, whatever. So that could be it. But you think it has anything to do with her being Egyptian and wanting to keep that kind of Egyptian thing in the background for what happens later? You know, Rabbi Barris always says whatever happens in Genesis is like a foreshadowing of what's to come. So the fact that she was Egyptian and that background, and then they end up in Egypt and the whole thing, so it kind of keeps that whole idea of another culture and Egypt and the role it plays in the Jewish future.
So Diane is saying that there's a connection, an ongoing connection with the Hebrews and the Egyptians, even now. Hagar HaMitzri, if we're connected to Hagar, we're going to be connected to the Egyptians later.
How does this have to do with the life of Sarah, which is what the name of the parasha is?
Thank you. So these are the years of Sarah. Sarah dies at the beginning, the lives, Shnei Sarah, the lives of Sarah, because it tells us, an idea, you can't say because, an idea is that following Sarah's death, it shows us how Abraham still has a whole lot of living to do. And he is not going to be stopped by her death. He has to fulfill those two promises. I talked about that last night, getting the land and creating descendants through Isaac. So the life of Sarah shows that Abraham buries her, he mourns for her, he weeps for her, he buries her, he gets the land, and then he's not done with his tasks. That's what it has to do with the life of Sarah. Now we can go back to right at the beginning or before the beginning. Sometimes we talk about why Sarah died, the trauma of nearly losing Isaac. And this is her reward. Rabbis say she was as youthful and free of sin at her death as she was at 20, as she was at 7 years old, 20 years old and 7 years old, but we are moving forward. It is a lesson of how when we suffer loss, we mourn and we take next steps forward. We don't move on, as the vernacular might say. Oh, got past it, move on, but we do move forward. And I think, Eileen, that may be what's troubling you. It seems as if Abraham has moved on. The sages tell us he is moving forward.
So I just think that Stuart's point was 100%, in my opinion, and because Hagar never remarried because of how she felt about Abraham. But Abraham remarried, whether he married her or he married this other woman who wasn't her. And I know people remarry, and you can love more than one person, especially when the first one has passed away. But it was such a wonderful, amazing love that Hagar didn't remarry, but Abraham didn't have that for Sarah.
Well, we don't know that we just commented and guess, so maybe she didn't marry waiting for Abraham, but it doesn't say that. We don't know that. We don't know. It could have been she just didn't remarry, and didn't have relations, or wasn't anybody else's concubine, wife, or anything similar to that status. But we don't know if the reason was Abraham or not.
Could it be because of the covenant that God made with Abraham, and Sarah only bore him one son? And it was a promise that he would be the father of many nations.
That's why Isaac had to get married. That's why he needed to get Isaac married off, to fill that covenant. That's the covenant. Not through him parallel, because he had Ishmael already. The line had to go through Isaac. That's why he buried Sarah, he bought the land, he buried Sarah, and he went to find his next task, find a wife for Isaac. We have a whole big, full, fun chapter, which you should read, because that's like the most fun part of this Torah portion, but we did it last year. So it's Isaac. The line has to go through Isaac. Paul, and then Annabella, welcome. Wait, he has the microphone first.
Yeah. The parsha is called Chaye Sarah, the lives of Sarah, and it alludes to the fact that she lives on in all of us. What we're talking about here is continuity. Part of the parsha is Abraham insisting on buying the cave of Machpelah, and that is organizing the people of Israel together with the land of Israel, and that continuity lives through generation to generation, and that's why it's called Chaye Sarah, the lives of Sarah.
Okay? So the continuity of Sarah and that land is very important. I read it, was it from Michal Biton? Talks about a little bit of Mamdani and being Michal Biton, Mijal Bitton, a scholar. She's there in New York. She's part of the Shalom Hartman faculty, wrote an article, I think, in the Times of Israel about what do Jews do when they are a minority, how you have to think strategically and not emotionally. And she used the idea of Abraham didn't just take the cave or a burial place. The Hittites offered Abraham, come, please bury your dead here. The fear, and the rabbis talk about, is that if he buries his dead in something he doesn't own, a generation later can change their mind and say, no, this isn't really yours. And when he was finally offered to purchase the cave at a very high price, he paid it no matter what, because he had to solidify a place in the land. He had to make sure that there was an owned place, not just on the goodwill of the majority. He had to do his best, what's in his interest, i.e. interest of the Jewish people to come forward. He had to own that land. Sandy wanted to say something?
Well, only that while we are through the line of Isaac, we're very few, and in this portion it shows how the Egyptians and the
Ishmaelites,
others,
right?
Ishmaelites, are many. And
okay, so we will catch up to the 12 tribes, right? Ishmael, there'll be 12 princes, there will be 12 tribes. Oh, Bella, sorry.
I'm just thinking that we were emphasizing the fact that Hagar Keturah didn't marry anybody after Abraham. If memory serves me well, she was sent into a desert. I don't think that there is too many availability of other people in the desert. So maybe it was not her choice. It was a fact that there was nobody else.
Well, it could be, but the rabbis say it was her choice. It could be. It could be. 60, she's, but we're not, the rabbis are not saying that. We have all these beautiful, wonderful ideas of why she didn't marry or could have married, but so we read all the commentators to see what their points were. Their point was she either did this purposefully or she just remained chaste. That's the word. That's a good word. Here's what I just have another little cute example of what's going on. Go to who's reading 61:3. I have a mic. I have the mic. Who wants to read? Wait, we're over here. And who was next? You read. It's over here already. Microphone.
Rabbi Yehoshua said, if a poor person comes to you in the morning, give him charity. And if another comes in the evening, give him as well, as you do not know for which of them the Holy One, blessed be He, will record about you, for this one or for that one, or whether they both alike will be good.
What are we talking about here? I love this. Right? We're talking about Keturah and those children. Should Abraham just throw out the idea of Keturah? He has more children with her. They are not, remember, inheriting. Abraham gives him gifts while he's alive. He gives them their inheritance while he's still alive, but Isaac's going to get everything. But we don't know. We don't know, Bereshit Rabbah is saying, about what the next generation is going to do. Maybe we'll create more wonderful children. Maybe they'll be great. How we don't judge yet. We judged a lot. Okay. We're moving forward in another idea of presenting what these relationships were like. Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer is going to talk about Abraham and Ishmael. And I love this midrash because it takes us, it really fills in a blank from when Abraham and Sarah sent Hagar and Ishmael away, and we were left going like, what? We knew the biblical reason. We know that the future line had to go through Isaac, but we couldn't deny that relationship with Abraham, Hagar, and Ishmael. We saw it in Vayera. Take your son, God says to Abraham, the one that you love. I love both of my sons, the rabbis say. Take your son, take Isaac. But in that middle one is, take your son. Abraham answers, which son? I love both of my sons. Et Yitzchak, Isaac. Let's see what happens now with Ishmael. Whoever is reading, Eileen, I think it's you, slowly and clearly. We are here on the second page, Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, 37.
Again, after 3 years, Abraham went to see his son Ishmael, having sworn to Sarah as on the first occasion that he would not descend from the camel in the place where Ishmael dwelt. He came there at midday and found that there Ishmael's wife. He said to her, where is Ishmael? She replied to him, he has gone with his mother to feed the camels in the desert. He said to her, give me a little bread and water, for my soul is faint after the journey of the desert. She fetched it and gave it to him. Abraham arose and prayed before the Holy One, blessed be He, for his son, and thereupon Ishmael's house was filled with all good things of the various blessings. When Ishmael came home, his wife told him what had happened, and Ishmael knew that his father's love was still extended to him. As it is said, like as a father pitieth his sons.
Okay, then that little part at the bottom is my addition. Is this the reason he buried Abraham with Isaac? This is you have part of the Midrash. The first part was another wife of Ishmael's. Abraham went, same story, give me some bread. She said no. He came back, Ishmael. She told him what had happened. He divorced her. And this wife, same story happened again. Abraham went, she gave him some bread and water, and his household was blessed. Nice one, isn't it? Yeah, I thought I'd put in something that's beautiful. Keep reading. After the death of Sarah.
After the death of Sarah, Abraham again took Hagar, his divorced wife, as it is said, and Abraham again took a wife, and her name was Keturah. Why does it say, and he again, or addition? But anyway, because on the first occasion, she was his wife, and he again betook himself to her. Her name was Keturah because she was perfumed with all kinds of scents.
Okay, so a little more, you pass it back. That was a little more literal of the name Keturah and what it means. But here we have the connection of Ishmael's house being blessed, and then this Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer brings that connection, and his house is blessed. Where was Ishmael? With his mother feeding the camels. And then it seems like, okay, it seems like a safe bet to go back to Hagar. That household is now blessed. They seem to be kind and doing the right thing. Ishmael now believes that Abraham has never lost his love for him. Abraham has checked on Ishmael throughout the years, and it might hint at this is why Abraham can go and marry Keturah, who might well be Hagar. Yes?
I have it on good authority that it could be added instead of again. But you, as the rabbi,
So
can you tell me
Vayosef-
which one is the real meaning of the word?
So, some of us, if I had, oh yeah, I do have
Is there a word remarry in Hebrew?
Hitchaten. You know, the word to marry in Hebrew is reflexive, by the way. Litchaten, lehitchaten. Let's say, Va, Yosef. That's a funny Va, Yosef.
Because Yosef means to add, right?
Yosef means to add, but it can, you're adding more, you're adding again. Because, like any language, you know, I always say this in Torah study, it ain't necessarily so, or it is necessarily so. You don't have one meaning, you don't have one exact meaning in language. This is why it's called nuance. We don't have an exact.
So it can mean both.
Yosef lahosif means to add. Yosef is an addition, but the rabbis are understanding Va Yosef as again, another time.
Maybe the Torah wants us to look at it either way and learn both lessons. Maybe it means both.
Well, this is why we read, her name is Keturah, she's Keturah. Her name is Keturah, and she's Hagar. We have, where's the second microphone? Okay, hang on. Over here to Richard, thank you.
Maybe Abraham had wives before he had Sarah.
We don't know that. Lech lecha, God speaks to Abraham, Lech lecha, from your land, from your father's house, from your birthplace, from your land. I didn't get that in the right order. He takes Sarah, he takes Lot, he takes his stuff, and he goes. I don't remember. Anybody remember any midrash of Abraham being married before? No, Paul doesn't. You don't. I don't remember.
He doesn't marry Hagar. He's Sarah's concubine.
So when Sarah gives Hagar to Abraham, she's a higher level than a concubine. She is really considered a wife. There are concubines. She was a handmaid, but she was elevated. She was elevated. And the reason why she was elevated was because Sarah and Abraham still didn't know that Sarah would ever have a child. And so Abraham's line was going to be produced, in technical terms, produced by Hagar, but claimed by Sarah, until, that was like the big picture, until Sarah had her own child. So she was really wife-ish status.
I have a question that's kind of off the subject, but not totally. When all of these commentators, I don't know when they lived. When I'm wondering, did they live before or after the beginning of Islam? Because
After.
After.
Most after.
Because
Except the Talmud was along. Some of the Mishnah was before, but everybody else was after. Some are writing, like, I don't have anything from Abravanel, but he was writing really in a Muslim kind of milieu.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because, and I don't know the Quran at all, but I wonder what that story, Ishmael's story is in the Quran, and whether that influenced, because, you know, perhaps the stories that came through with Islam and the stories about Ishmael may have influenced these later people to write what they wrote and try to reinterpret things to maybe put away Islam, which was advancing through the world at that time.
They absolutely wrote apologetics against Islam and against Christianity. Yes, they absolutely were writing. Not necessarily here, it doesn't seem as it, but in other places, you see what they're doing over there, that's no, this is yes. You can't really say, it's almost Hanukkah. You can't really say that's no, Romans, because they'll hit you over the head. But we have ways of saying that's no, we don't do that. We use other words for Rome. We use other words to describe it. Today, what's the modern Hebrew term? Paul or Annabella or anybody else who might know. What in the vernacular do sometimes speaking Hebrew Israelis call Muslims or Arabs? Thank you. B'nai Dodim, cousins. Our cousins. Sometimes it's pejorative, sometimes it's just a way not to, it's soft. So they're used all different ways. Words are used all different ways. B'nai Dodim, thank you. Annabella and then Ian.
I just wanted to point out that according to our faith, there are 3 ways of getting married.
3 ways of getting married.
You have shtar, bia, and I'm blanking on the third one. Shtar is the ketubah.
Right.
Bia, kesef. So when Sarah gives Hagar to Abraham, Abraham did not give to Hagar a shtar, a ketubah, but he lived with her, which is one of the ways you get married. Yeah. He also didn't pay for her, which is kesef. Mm-hmm. So one has to have that in mind when we say that Hagar was not a wife. She was a wife according to halakha in our faith.
Okay. This is why we use rings today, right? It's illegal. Marriage is a legal enterprise. You have to have consideration. Consideration could be the ring. Ian, what's next?
So this is the life of Sarah, this portion.
Yes, the lives of Sarah.
Yeah, and Sarah is also a prophet.
Yes, use the mic.
So she chooses Hagar. I'm sure she had other handmaidens with her. It's not only one. And she chooses Hagar. And after listening to all of this, it makes more sense that this is the story of Sarah, by extension, her prophecy and choice to continue the line.
Sarah gives her handmaiden Hagar to Abraham. Nice, we can think of it that way. Nice thread.
All right, if you
Use
look at the
microphone up to your mouth.
If you look at the translation, it says, and Sarai gave to Abram Sarai's slave. Okay? But if you go back to Jacob, if you go forward to Jacob, he considers them maidservants. There's a difference between a maidservant and a slave.
I think the English translation. Okay, so what's the Hebrew there? Shifcha. So a handmaiden, definitely a servant type, definitely in the line of a servant. Slave, remember, slaves had certain protections. We could use slaves also. She didn't seem, going back, as Hagar had a choice, right? So therefore, slave. But even when we translate into English, we're already making an edit, making a decision as to which English word we use. So in this plout, he wanted to use slave. Shifcha is really a servant. Eved is really a slave. So again, what word are we using and how are we going to understand it?
So not to beat a dead horse, but the women's commentator acknowledges all the ones we talked about. And then it says, this midrash relates that Abraham married 3 wives and that each was a descendant of one of the sons of Noah. Sarah was the line of Shem, Keturah descended from Japheth, and Hagar was from the family of Ham. And that's Yalkut Ravini.
Okay, thank you. So there we go. So that's another connective line. Ganya, and then I want to try to get to that next part because it's nice. It's a nice ending.
I'll be quick. I was debating whether to bring this up as my reaction. This is a very difficult, as we discussed the last 2 times, very difficult story in the Bible to everybody making bad choices. But it seems to me that the commentaries and the midrash are trying very hard to put closure in a positive way for a difficult open-ended story, kind of trying to make that there were amends and there was love and they would come together and the 2 brothers.
Okay.
It sounds to me forcing an issue to make it have a more positive closure. It doesn't feel real to me.
The positive closure is after Isaac and Ishmael were separated, them coming together. Let's go see. Also, the whole story of Hagar, of coming together. Also remember, these are the parts that I chose for you. Somebody else can choose different things. I'm leading us in this direction today. Victor, we're on chapter 25, verse 9. We read it before. Read the Hebrew. I'll do the Hebrew, Victor, if I can see it. Vayikberu oto Yitzchak v'Yishmael banav el ma'arat hamachpelah el sadeh Ephron ben Sohar hachiti asher al panei Mamre. Read the English text and read that Rashi, please, Victor.
His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar the Hittite, facing Mamre.
Okay, Abraham dies. Isaac and Ishmael bury him. Read the Rashi, please.
Yitzchak and Ishmael, from this we gather that Ishmael repented of his evil ways and yielded the presents to Isaac. This is what it meant by the good old age mentioned in connection with Abraham.
Thank you. Abraham dies at a good old age. Why Rashi is saying it is good? It is good because Ishmael changed his ways. He became good. If we could go back and read all of the commentaries on all of the justifications of why Ishmael was bad, right? In addition to the idolatry, what Sarah thought he was a bad influence. There's many commentaries of Sarah saying why Ishmael's a bad influence on Isaac, why he has to go. There are other commentaries that Ishmael cries out in the desert. And God hears him, and there's a discussion with God. Why are you saving him? He's going to be bad. And God says, I'm not punishing somebody for what they're going to do right now. He's still okay. And now this, Rashi says, he's been okay. Abraham is contented because now Ishmael has return to what Abraham wants him to be. We're not exactly sure what that is, but let's say doing the right thing, and Isaac is together with him. When we see, like we will in a few weeks, that Jacob and Esau come together to bury Isaac, it gives us a hint of what? This isn't open-ended. A hint? What might this hint at?
Possible reconciliation.
Possible reconciliation. Possible reconciliation in all kinds of big concentric circles. Possible reconciliation. So the life of Sarah after she's dead might be leading us to the idea that people can reconcile, that people can change. We still have the line going through the right way. Abraham mourned but completed what he needed to do to act and get that land. Get that land is primary. Find a wife for Isaac was primary. He had to do that. And then we have these reconciliations. We don't know the depth of them, but they're hinted at. People coming together. The last little nice piece I put there, our sages tell us that wicked people, even when they are alive, they are considered dead. The wicked have no continuity, no eternity. Righteous people, tzaddikim, on the other hand, even when they pass away, they are considered living. Chaye, the lives of Sarah and Abraham, the righteous people, and how they have impacted the world and those around us, they are considered still living. Another very important aspect of this Torah portion. Thank you. We are in the third triennial.
What's up?
You guys are a vocal couple here. There will be no silencing. Is this going on, or do they clean up afterwards?
We do both.
And I think we're about to come Monday to Wisconsin. Stages of our which is going up. Oh, thanks a lot. Thank God you're sitting next to me. What's that? Yeah. At 40. And there's no snow on the ground or anything. Yeah, but it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, like everything. So all the pics were small. So we could see like the nice scenery without going.
Was that enough time to take outside the one around the Come on, really? See, that's the one who's in the back one. Reykjavik out. I'd like to do that.
We went all around. Short version.
He organized it, and that was good. I wanted to get a coffee just to our own thing, like you've done. Boys, you got
I don't think that was only the two of us. We have so many suitcases.
Plus, you have so much education.